Recording in progress.
All right. I'm going to call our Tuesday, May 28th, Selectboard meeting to order. And the first item is approval of the agenda.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any changes to the agenda? Notice that we will not have item 11. Any other changes, Kathleen?
That is it.
Okay, everybody's okay with that? All in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody joining us online? Next is approval.
Sorry, Brian, somebody missed the payroll page.
Ooh, it might be me.
Okay. I can't tell, but.
We should exchange signatures so we don't.
Yeah, I think there's 6 on the AP side, but the payroll side is missing, only has 5, so. Sorry to interrupt, Brian, I just wanted to make sure that it didn't get
All
missed.
right. I'll make sure everybody gets paid.
Yeah.
Next is approval of the consent agenda.
So
I'll
moved.
move it as, go ahead.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Moved and second. Okay. Anything anybody would like to comment on the consent agenda?
I missed Kevin's party that day, so wish him best of luck. Thanks for the service.
Yeah, I had
Very
to miss
nice.
it too.
Yeah. There are a couple things in there here, people should, if you haven't read the packet, anybody who's watching, we are approving the final grant agreement with the state of Vermont on the purchase of 83 Court Street for $376,142.11. There's no local matching funds. It will turn into green space in perpetuity. And then, as Farhad pointed out, there's a nice thank you from all of the town for Kevin Newton's many, many years of involvement, going back to '79 in different board of zoning adjustments, planning commission, including the chair of that and the development review board.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So if there's no amendments to that, I would ask for everybody who votes yes on the consent agenda as drafted.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Citizen comments. Is anybody here for something that's not on the?
Just want to let everybody know that tomorrow is the annual Chat Fest for the Economic Development Corporation, for which I am your representative. And if you have any particular items that merit discussion during that all-day thing, please do. Let me know. I will certainly bring them up and give them whatever discussion we can. So I'm available for that. And I'll be, if you want to think about it overnight, email me tomorrow, I'll be checking email, as we all do during the day.
What did you call it? A chat fest?
Chat Fest, our annual retreat. You don't have one, too?
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Our annual retreat, this is based in Harvard, so
Great.
we're locked up for
Man.
Is there an agenda? Are there major topics that you're focusing on?
Oh, it's a huge agenda. But it is Addison County oriented. A lot of it is review of things that we've done during the past year and strategic documents going forward. Not a lot of specific items that are typically dealt with during a monthly meeting. So, but, it's certainly open to.
Anything particularly wanting as regards the town of Middlebury?
I'm sorry?
Anything particularly wanting as regards the work of the town of Middlebury?
Well, that's your call. I mean, if you guys want, Kathleen mentioned that we had written, for example, a letter of support to Northern Borders commission on the subject of the water tank, and staying behind that. And took out the only thing, a specific thing that is on the agenda that, that I can see at the moment, yeah. Things will come up.
Okay.
But, let me know if something in particular, some particular item
Thank you.
strikes you, yeah.
Is that agenda?
Yes, we have Judy Weiger-Groves. Go ahead, Judy. You'll need to unmute.
We got you.
Okay, just curious. There's been a lot of chatter on Front Porch Forum about, what's currently going on the town green. And I'm wondering what the select board's take is on that. Yeah, the fact that, it gets to be evening and people are not feeling safe, which isn't good in terms of, well, in terms of anything, but, so I asked what the select board's take is on that and what they might be planning to do with that.
I'm personally not aware of the issues,
So
obviously
there's
not up to
been
date.
recently a lot of postings on the Front Porch Forum complaining about the unhoused population on the gazebo, loitering, and some people had concerns and some people were defending them that they have no place to go. And there was somebody mentioned that the select board should be made aware of what's going on there. So I think that's what Judy's doing.
I would say we don't have a position right now, Judy, because it's the first many of us are hearing of that. We'll have to engage the homeless task force that we have and see what activities are going on and maybe ideas for how to mitigate people's fear.
So, just to add, I was fairly certain that Dow, the guru of everything related to Middlebury, was monitoring Front Porch Forum. This information has been on for the last 3-4 weeks. And there's been no response from the powers that be.
Judy, it's Kathleen. Yes, Beth was monitoring this and made us aware of it. And what we have done is make sure that the street lighting is working there and that electrical outlets are not working, which seems to lessen the interest in hanging out on the gazebo.
Was anybody watching there?
We have police officers on patrol in their cruisers and on foot.
And it's not about, to me, it's not about what's going on there, it's about what's causing what's going on there. Sorry. And I don't know if there's updates on how the town is dealing with homelessness, the housing crisis. Sorry, I guess I must have missed the latest. So if that could be posted somewhere, or if you could let me know where that is. Yeah, it's, unfortunately, it is
Judy, did you attend our meeting last fall, when we spent several hours talking with a number of stakeholders about the issues of the unhoused folks in our town?
I probably was, but, you know, last fall and what's going on now, Andy, it's not the same. So what's being done now?
I think it's very much the same in terms of the potential responses that we can have as a community. I've not been to the homelessness task force meetings, but we've got great people representing a ton of different, very invested interest groups, trying their best to figure out how best to address this, both for the folks without housing as well as for the safety of the rest of the residents.
Andy, I get that, but I have personally not seen the latest about what has been found, what's been determined, what's been being worked on.
Okay,
And
so
that's why
we're not gonna solve it tonight, Judy?
I understand that it's not gonna be
Yeah.
solved
So,
tonight.
so we'll get you the latest report out from the homelessness task force, and certainly, make sure you know where to find that. I'd say
And
that's the
can I-
best spot to, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. I apologize.
I'm used to it. I think I'd like to move on, Judy, because,
If I can just ask that it be brought up at the next meeting?
I think if you look at the past, the homelessness task meeting notes, you will see the progress they have made. It's hard to summarize that on a citizen's comments question. If you go read up on that, I think there should be a lot of information that you can find.
I would just add that watching the MCTV discussion, the presentation
Last year.
by, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the woman's name who,
Heidi?
Heidi Lacy, yeah.
is really worth it. It's not as good as reading the minutes. You should just hear it from the people who were directly involved.
And Fred, I do. I keep track of that, and for Odd,
Yeah.
I keep track of what you're saying also. I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you for listening. I hope you can provide an update at the next meeting. Thanks so much.
okay, thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
I think we're ready for a motion.
Is there, were you here for citizens' comments, or, no, okay. Okay.
Maybe just ask Judy to, Judy, can you mute, please?
Sorry.
Hi, Emily.
Hi. I have just two quick things tonight. I'm looking for approval for a grant application for a federally bicycle and pedestrian grant program. I've been speaking with Jen Murray and also Mike Winslow at regional planning, trying to figure out the best fit. And there's a scoping study grant that the regional planning is able to tap into right now. I was thinking it might be good to utilize that for the phase 2 of the Exchange Street. But the federal aid bike and ped grant, that one's not due until later in the summer. This one is due in June, mid-June. I was looking to expand our work that we did in the bike ped study last fall, which showed a few locations along the corridor that connects Route 7 up to Seminary Street Extension. And in that, it would be Valley View Road, Rogers Saunders Road and then a little jog on Monroe, which would allow pretty much complete connectivity through there. The grant is a 80-20 match. I ran quick numbers last week. I haven't gone into too much detail until we figured out if we wanted to take this route. But quick math was looking at like $750,000 to $800,000 for design and construction. And so it would be, you know, in the realm of $160,000 that the town would be obligated for.
This would be for, the 6 foot wide or 8 foot wide back,
So, it would be a minimum of 5 foot. I think it would depend on the location. Part of the funding requirements is to investigate alternatives, so we could look into the best fit for the area. I think there's also, an intersection is called out in the bike ped study to look at for further, review, so we could always encapsulate that into this also.
I just add, when this is discussed at the infrastructure committee meeting, the minutes of that reflect that this grant would not supplant the Exchange Street project. And this may take, a period of time that V-Trans takes for projects that go through the scoping and then funding and so forth. So it's not an immediate solution. But it is important, and I did receive messages from both Wendy Warren and Laura Sermley supporting this and expressing thanks to the Infrastructure Committee and the board for their hoped support of this grant application, and to Emily for your work on this.
It's a good point, Fred. The funding, because it does go through the V-Trans process, it's about, in my experience, they told me 4 years in the webinar I attended, but my experience is usually more like 3 years in design, and then, the 4th year would be in construction. Because it has to go through all the NEPA process right away, all of those hurdles have to get cleared, so it is a bit laborsome.
And the other thing that I think was discussed was, I think said that there would be a preference for having the sidewalk separated from the road by some grass strip. That may not be able to be achieved in all cases until they look at this in more detail with property lines and so forth, drainage and other things that are happening. But that's sort of the baseline that they hope for, is to provide for a safe walkway. And that's important for snow removal, not to have the sidewalk right above the street. You plow the snow into the sidewalk. Anyway.
Until it melts, you just push it back and forth.
Well, it's better to have a place for it.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions on it?
Is there a cost with this? I didn't see anything.
You said 100
20%
and
match, potentially $150,000 to $160,000.
That's our share.
But we'll have those 4 years to split that appropriation up.
I would assume design for this would be in the 80 to 100,000 range, and then the remainder of that would be for the construction. So we have for 3 years to do the design, and in that time we could build up the capital fund for the actual construction piece of it.
In this estimated 4-year time, I would really like to see the town do an evaluation of what this additional sidewalk does to staff and equipment. At what point do we need a new machine? At what point do we need another driver? What's the implication to sand and salt? At some point, we have to consider what these additions do to the rest of the budget, I think. So, if we have 4 years, I would like to see that, evaluation done.
Any other questions? Comments? Pleasure of the board.
I'll move to authorize the Public Works Department to apply to the State of Vermont Bicycle and Pedestrian Grant Program for the Buttle Acres Neighborhood Connectivity Project.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Last chance for comments. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I hope it goes a lot faster than Exchange Street, is all I can say.
Really, that's not a hard step there.
We hope not.
Okay, thanks for that. Next on the agenda, we had our bid opening for the Halliday Road culvert last week. I've been working with Otter Creek Engineering on that design and bid advertisement and whatnot. We had a pretty good turnout from contractors. 5 were able to bid on it. A 6th party was 2 minutes late to the bid opening, so they were unfortunately not able to bid. But the recommended bid goes to the low bid of Engineers Construction Inc. And they bid $459,346. The second lowest bid was less than 3,000 over what they had quoted. So it was a pretty tight competition. All of them were, there was one outlier, but most of them were pretty much within 10% of the engineer's bid, so.
Questions? Comments?
I'll move to award the construction of the Halliday Road culvert to Engineers Construction Incorporated for $459,346. Second.
Seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Any updates you wanted to share with us?
Update, we're still just plugging along on South Street, slow and steady. They are still hammering ledge on the south end of the project and making slow progress. They had brought in a drill rig and it seemed like they were making good progress, but they were really only able to break the top layer of the ledge, and the bottom layer is a very different composition, so they're still struggling through that, but gaining a little bit every day. And they have a second crew that started back up at Green Mountain Place and is now working their way south with the main line. So just trying to keep as many crews involved as possible to keep it moving forward.
You get any sense what this is adding to the budget at all? Is it gonna-
Adding to the budget?
Was it, I can't remember if this was a flat bid and they're eating the extra expense, or if it's getting.
No, the ledge profile actually matches what we had in the plans pretty closely, and there is a solid rock excavation item
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
So it's pretty close to what was proposed. I think where we are adding some valves to the project. So that will put us a little bit over budget, but I think from what we experienced this winter, that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's add some valves, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Can I just,
Yes.
Emily, as the Halliday Road projects moves forward, just a reminder to connect with the school on the bus schedule, and just obviously just keep, that impacts me, so I'm just curious the timing of the construction on that, so.
Yep, absolutely. I think that one, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed until next year. There's a stream alt permit for that one, and so the completion is either October 1st or the 15th. I always mess it up. But, so I'm guessing they won't have time to get the concrete made to be able to complete it. And so I think it would be more likely to see it go next summer. We did
Okay.
actually just receive a grant. I haven't seen the final award yet, but we did receive a grant for reclaiming Halliday Road. So once this culvert goes in, we'll be able to come back in next year and do that process also.
Great, thank you, Emily.
Yep, no problem.
else have anything for Emily? Thanks, Emily, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too. Bill?
Nope.
How are you?
So, have a couple of bits here to review. First one I'll do is recreation courts. So this is routine periodic maintenance, and we set aside money every year in the capital budget for it. So we have $90,000 right now. We had a hard time finding a vendor to come in and do this in a timely fashion. Should be done about every 5 or 7 years. Last time they were done is 2016. So then we ended up contacting, who did we contact? Betsy Cox Camp, who I think they have one court down there, and then the town of Pittsford also had need to do it. So kind of grouped those all together and contacted the vendors, and only one supplied numbers, and they are able to get here in July. So they actually gave the bid out in 2 different numbers. One is for tennis courts, one is for a basketball court. And then doing the basketball court, it's going to be striped for additional pickleball courts at the same time. So
I'll move to approve the proposed agreement with Advantage Tennis for the reconditioning and painting of various park courts and the recreation park for $35,900.
Second.
Moved in second, other questions?
Bill, does it include upgrading the current heavily used pickleball
Yes.
courts that are cracked?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All I had. Thanks.
Curious how much we saved over if we had it just ours done. Do you get any sense for?
I don't know if we saved anything. It was just difficult getting
Just to get-
vendors. I mean, it's specialty work. There are groups out there that do it, but they travel. So when they get here, we have 9 courts in total. I'm gonna find out if it's better if we try to do a court a year, 2 courts a year, or the whole package at the same time.
Yeah.
To try to get it scheduled 2-3 years ahead of time or something, so we know.
Yeah.
They're not in super bad shape. The basketball court's in very bad shape. That's the least used court out there, but the other ones they're okay, but they're definitely past due, so.
Questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay. So this next one I've been working on for about 3 years. It says the pool, all of the plumbing is outside for the filter system and everything, and it's just it's in bad shape. It leaks all over the place, I've been wanting to do it for a long time. We got some numbers finally last year, but we were gonna do the work ourselves. And due to employee turnover, we were not able to do that, so I didn't pull the trigger on it. So I asked the 3 vendors that we got numbers from to refresh their numbers, and only one chose to do that. And it turns out that it's less than the other bids last year anyway. So that is to redo all of the exterior plumbing, except for the kiddie pool, which it's different, that's a lot smaller, and that's something that we could just do out of pocket, I think. So this is, and it's, there's a big 8-inch manifold where everything comes in and goes into the filter system and stuff. We're changing all of that in consultation with our professional consultant, and we're going from 8-inch down to 6-inch, which is fine hydraulically, and that saved a little bit of money too. So, but it will be all fresh and new. So
Wow.
So this is just for the material,
this
right?
is just materials. Yep.
What about the installation cost?
We're going to do that, so it'll just be
All
our
of it?
labor. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They'll save some money.
I'll move to approve the proposal from FW Web for $12,031.01 for the placement of exterior pool piping at the town pool.
Second.
And second, we wouldn't want to round that one up, would we?
No.
Yeah, right?
2 cents.
Very precise. Anybody have any comments or questions on it?
I will say, I forgot to add that we also set aside money for pool maintenance and capital budget every year. We have 56,000 in that, so this is a small piece of that. I'm also looking to redo the interior plumbing where it comes into the building. It's got a water meter laying right on the middle of the floor in the utility building, and it's old and everything. So I'm still waiting on numbers for that, but that's probably gonna be another 8,000 or 9,000 out of that same money, but when I have that, I'll bring it back.
Great.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Haven't heard any questions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we've got, malt.
Do we have more?
Are they out in the, oh, here's Jamie.
Good.
Hi, Jamie.
Are you ready for us now?
We're ready for you,
I was
Jim.
waiting for Liam, but he's not here yet, so,
Yeah, we are a little ahead of schedule.
so should I stay here?
Do you want to wait for Liam? Because Jason can fill
No,
time.
I don't wanna make you all
Yeah, I can do my piece, Jason can do his.
Okay,
Let's-
that sounds
let's-
good.
Jason, let's,
I'll wait.
now let's do it.
For Liam.
Oh.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
You go ahead and I'll greet Liam. You go, I'll greet him.
So first of all, thank you for sneaking me in last minute. I greatly appreciate this. So Jason LaRock, Otter Creek Engineering. Tonight I'm here representing Jack and Margot Brown in their, in regards to the Daisy Lane subdivision. This is a subdivision that's been going on for close to 15 years now. This is the, depending on how you break it out, the third or the fourth phase of this subdivision. This final phase, I'm hoping to have everything closed out for the DRB meeting on the 10th. So we're still waiting on some permits. Some of the outstanding issues that I've been dealing with is the conservation easement, which was on your agenda tonight. That was removed because the homeowners association is going to take care of it. What I want to talk about tonight is the transfer of the ball diamond, which is lot 5C in this current subdivision. It's a 1.29 acre parcel that encompasses the existing ball field. And from the inception of this subdivision, the intent was to transfer that parcel to the town. Currently, it's my understanding the town has a memorandum of understanding or a $1 a year lease on it. At this point, in closing out the subdivision, Jack won't have any interest in this property and wishes to transfer that property to the town. So, I sent around, in the packet was a copy of the warranty deed for that. One of the questions that was asked of me was access. So, in the latest edition of our amendment to the homeowners association, there is language that talks about lot 5C not being part of the homeowners association or a paying member of the association. It also talks about access via the road and the parking lot to the whole subdivision, including lot 5C. So once again, I'm here tonight to ask you.
Familiar with the parking
I am familiar with the parking situation.
So not having a map of this, does this include some of that area that we had looked at as potential for creating a parking
Yes,
lot?
so Timothy and Jennifer LaRock own a small, let's see, it's the small house south of the Ball Diamond. That property is relatively small, and there's real estate from the actual backstop to their property line. And that parcel goes all the way to their property line. And then actually, if you'd like, I brought with me the boundary survey. If anyone would like a copy of that.
So it includes the forested space between
It
the
includes
ball
that
field and the
forested
neighbors?
space.
Okay.
And the property line pretty much is just over where the existing fence in the outfield is. There are, I believe, 3 separate wastewater easements on the property. They're not wastewater areas, they're basically setbacks to maintain we weren't able to maintain the isolation distance from the wastewater system to the property line, so there's a slight overshadowing for 3 lots as well. If anyone would like a copy of that.
I'd love to take a look and pass it on.
I also have full-size ones, if anyone would like those.
Oh, geez, make copies.
Make copies for you, you don't have to share, Fred.
Sorry.
So 5C is the ball field.
5C is the ball field. This subdivision, or this portion of the subdivision is 6 lots. 1 through 4 are buildable lots. 5 is the ball field, which we'll go into account for that. 4C has a conservation easement of 6 acres. This is part of the 25%, originally agreed upon 25% conserved portion of this subdivision. And I think we're 26%, give or take, including the ball field and the 6 acre conservation easement.
So who owns the parking that would go with the ball field?
So the parking's on lot 6C. 6C. 6C is an independent lot that is owned by the homeowners association, which is pretty much the right-of-way through there. It's a private right-of-way. That parking is included within that lot. There was some discussion at the DRB about that becoming part of the ball field. However, it would do that, you'd have to cross across the ball field lot to access the subdivision. So they have access to that for parking under the agreement of the homeowners association.
So does the deed to the ball field say that there's access to parking to the ball
The
field?
homeowners association does. I don't believe the deed specifically speaks to that, and while we're on that subject, so it does reference, on page 3, third item, C, it discusses egress and, over Daisy Lane. And also states that it's not a building lot and it is not entitled to membership in the homeowners association. Additionally to this, Mr. Brown is working with his attorney, which he believes it's best to handle this with a side letter. The Whitney family has used this ball field for many, many years for their family reunion on Labor Day, and he'd like them to be able to continue that tradition. So, in talking with Ben Putnam, he felt it was best to handle that with just a side letter with the town. I do not have a copy of that with me tonight.
Kathleen, has Benj reviewed this?
Benj is Jack's attorney, and this has been sent to Jim Carroll, who is well on his way to completing it, but still working out some of the fine details. So any approval would be pending final review by town attorney Jim Carroll.
Okay, so subject to final review.
Yeah.
Questions?
So do we have any space to add any parking in what will become the town's or not?
No, a little bit. Pull up the tax map here.
So this is part of,
Yeah.
this is the
So what we get is this wooded area to the immediate south is part of the ball field lot.
ball field lot.
yeah, it kind of swoops around
Okay.
from this edge of the moat area to the neighboring lot here.
Okay.
Got the NEMRIC tax map up.
Okay.
You need a motion?
So if everybody's questions are answered, then I would look for a motion, and it'll be subject to
And advice from the council.
town's attorney review.
Okay. So I'll move to accept the proposed donation in accordance with the draft warranty deed included in this packet of the reference land along Lower Plains Road in Middlebury from Daisy Lane Properties LLC, subject to review by the town council.
Second.
I'd just add that I think the community owes Jack Brown thanks. This is an important asset for community recreation. It's been used for a lot of years for this, and it's a wonderful thing that this has come to pass.
Perhaps you'll draft a letter that we can all sign.
Not many people know this, but Jack Brown's father, was a minor league baseball player.
No kidding. Huh,
So that's why this ball field is so near and dear to him.
that's great.
And the reason it's called Daisy Lane is that was his mother's name.
That is correct.
It's a wealth of historical knowledge
know.
here, holy cow, love it.
So good. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any questions or comments on it? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
Have a great
thank
evening.
you.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
So we're rolling back to number 8, and we get Jamie and Liam. All right.
Okay, thanks for being flexible, letting us rearrange. So my name is Jamie Horton. You may have formerly known me as Jamie Brookside. And I know everybody at the table except for Isabel, so it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
I'm
you.
the executive director at the Middlebury Area Land Trust
Awesome.
and also a resident of Middlebury.
Great.
Neighbors
Awesome.
with
Thank
Andy.
you.
And this is?
I'm Liam Hickey. I was before you guys a little while ago about the Dvorak grant, and I am the Trails and Volunteer Manager at Middlebury Area Land Trust. And yeah, I don't live here. I wish I did.
Maybe someday soon.
We'll try to create some housing.
Yeah, thank you. So we have super exciting news, and it's not, we're not allowed to officially announce this, so don't go make Facebook posts tonight when you go home. But tomorrow we can officially announce that Malt was awarded everything we asked for from the Dvorak grant, which, like, have I ever spoken those words before? Never, right? That never happens. And I believe there were over 150 applicants in the state, and I believe something like 40 and change of them were awarded funds.
How much?
$63,223, which is an enormous grant for our very small organization. And 100% of it is gonna be spent on Wright Park, which is a town-owned property. So this is wonderful. This is my 8th year with Malt, and we've never even had the staffing capacity to apply for funds like this. So, you know, we have, when I started, I was the first full-time person at the organization. We now have 4 full-time staff, and they're working really hard. Liam and Erica, who you met last time, were the 2 who wrote this grant. And Erica's home with her very young baby tonight. She's got a 5-month-old. So this is a little bit too late for her. And I have to admit, it's kind of late for me too. I have a 9-month-old right now. Okay. But it's just wonderful to come and share good news. And we are gonna, the main focus of the funds, if you remember from when we came and asked for your support, which thank you for supporting us in the application, was to focus on a lot of the wet areas and the issues around water and Wright Park. Not that it's a lovely, the water is just fine, but for trails it becomes a tricky relationship. So Liam has a lot of expertise in trail building, more than anyone on staff has had before. He has a whole boatload of experience from the work he was doing in New York State with the Student Conservation Association. and the state of, the New York State Parks and Rec, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, we're gonna do a variety of volunteer projects, staff-run projects, and there's a couple that we have to contract out that are just beyond our capacity. But I think the only other hurdle we have to get over is that Wright Park, all of the infrastructure that currently exists is grandfathered in modern day wetland regulation terms. And so if we wanna fix anything that already exists, that's okay. But if we wanna do any sort of rerouting to reduce the conflict between water and trails, there's a fair amount of regulations around that. Wright Park is just a very wet area. There's a lot of wetlands, especially down by the creek, and there's several little tributaries that run in. So one of the things that we're working on, and we've been speaking with Kathleen about, is how the town and Malt can partner to get the wetlands delineated in the park, because a big question is what is within a wetland and what's not. And once we know the answer to that, then we know how we can work around those. So Liam and Erica have been working with a woman at the state. Do you know what her position is?
Courage. I'm not sure what her name or what her title is, but she's like the wetlands specialist for our area
Area
of
of
district,
Vermont.
our region.
So they're working closely with her to figure this out, but that'll be our first hurdle. And once we know that, then Liam can jump into coordinating these projects over this field season and next field season. So it's a 2-year grant, and we have until December of 2025 to expend the funds, but given the nature of the work, we'll finish it by the end of the trail season, September or October of next fall. So Liam just wanted to remind you of the projects that they're going to be working on, and we're happy to answer any questions, and it's fun to come here and give you good news and not be asking for anything. We're just saying, we're going to give, it's going to be great.
Yeah, so just as a quick refresher of all the projects that we're going to do, one of the biggest projects we're going to do is going to be resurfacing and regrading and installing a couple of culverts along the first half mile of the town in Wright Park. That's an area where we've been dealing with a lot of seep runoff from the industrial park and the railroad to the east, and so we're going to take care of that issue.
Can I just add that for those of you that might be a little less familiar, that would be like if you went to the end of Seminary Street or Seymour Street extension and you parked at that southern entrance to Wright Park, that's like a classic one. It's there heading north for the first half mile or so. Yeah.
And then there are 3 locations that we have bridges that we'll be replacing. They're kind of all over Wright Park. One of them is on the main TAM, kind of right at the end of that half-mile stretch that we'll be doing. Another one is the very famous zigzag bridge that is down closer to the river. We'll be putting that back as another zigzag bridge in honor of Al Stiles.
Yeah, known locally as the Stiles Bridge, Al Stiles Bridge.
Yeah. And then the third bridge is another 40-foot bridge, or it's 40 foot now, but it's planned to be a little bit longer with these plans, but it is down on the lower Tam near the river as you're getting further towards Belden's Falls. And then we are also replacing several boardwalks that washed away during the second flooding event with the flash floods last summer. Again, that was a problem with runoff from the industrial park and the railroads, created just high water levels that just completely washed out several boardwalks. So we'll be replacing them with sturdier and more securely pinned in structures. We will be rerouting a few places along River Trail where the trail is starting to erode into the river because of muskrat activity and also just because of the high water and where it was placed. We're going to try and get it out of the wetland buffer and out of the sort of erosion sensitive shoreline. And as part of that, we'll also be trying to revegetate some of the old parts of the trail and some of the washouts that are along that section from the storms. To increase resiliency. We will be putting in a couple of turnpikes in some of the wetter, muddier areas on the upper Tam, which is we also
remind us what that is.
Yep, sorry. A turnpike is essentially just a raised bit of trail with some kind of containment structure on the sides to keep in whatever fill you put in, so that you don't lose it in a large rain event or something. And so those will be put in on the the section of the upper Tam that is open to bikes, because we want bikes to be able to go through that section easily without, making big ruts in the mud. And finally, there's just a handful of places along the Tam and along the river trail where we'll be adding a few extra water bars or turning a steep hill into a switchback so that the water isn't running so quickly down it.
Yeah. Yes,
I
Brian, go
just
for it.
compliment you on the grant application. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just one comment on your map at the bottom part of that. It shows that the town's stump dump, sometime once euphemistically called the resource park, is really not part of Wright Park.
No, that's right.
And neither is Pine Meadow Development, which is shown there along the railroad south of the. So basically, it starts, Wright Park starts where the two pedestrian are on your map, and just
Yes.
not to mislead anybody about what's a park. I'd probably figure it out once I got into the stump dump.
That's a good point. I think that the reason it looks like that is because that light green layer delineates what the town owns.
Yeah.
And so there isn't, we don't really have a formal agreement of where the park starts, but yes, you're right.
There are
Absolutely
surveys
correct.
of both of those.
Of the park area. Okay.
It was
Do you know
donated
where
in
we could-
sections, and there's surveys.
Do you know where we could find that, Fred? Because
They're all in the land records and in the Wright Park file in the town's archives.
Okay. Well, we will look into that. Yeah, that's a good
Someone might have
point.
gone through that.
I think probably when it comes to mapping layers that exist, you know, for making these, that's just the parcel delineation, but, that's a good idea, good comment. You know, one thought that comes to mind is that as Malt is able to take on larger opportunities like this with our growing staff, a really important emphasis that I am particularly passionate about is the engagement of community members in our trail work, in the stewardship of our conserved lands, in our education programs. And you all are so well connected in the community, so just keep in mind, you know, when you hear projects like this, if you can think of any groups that you know of that would be into a volunteer day or a volunteer opportunity with Malt, that's really important to our mission. Some examples of groups that Liam has been working with, and Malt has been working with for a long time, and Liam is growing that, but we partner with groups like CSAC. They have a summer program for high school kids that they come out and spend almost a whole week with us. 2 weeks. The Hannaford Career Center high school kids, their natural resource program, they do a lot of volunteering in Wright Park too. The Rotary Club, many of the college sports teams. So if just, when you have spare time and you're thinking it over, if you can think of any groups that you think we should be reaching out to, you all are so well connected. So please feel free to shoot me or Liam an email if you have ideas. Yeah, is there any?
Exciting.
It is so exciting, Brian. It's so exciting. I'm really proud of the staff, and it's really, I just, to put it in perspective, you know, Malt's annual budget when I started was like $78,000, and this is a $64,000 grant, and now our budget is just a little over 300. So, you know, this is a huge amount of money. And it's also exciting because it's a pool of funds that can help cover staff time, which some of you probably are aware of how hard that is to do. A lot of times they want to pay for the lumber and not the people, so, yeah, it's really exciting.
That's great.
Thank you for your support.
Can you talk to Coach Quinn, are you on his email?
No, which,
Send me an email, and I'll
Okay.
connect you, because a lot of times, I know some teams are reaching out to you by the sounds, but the college is always looking for,
what sport is that, Brian?
well, Aaron's the athletic director,
I see, okay. Quinn, Quinn.
yeah.
All right.
I will do that.
They're often looking for a good community project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great,
Yeah,
thank
we've
you.
worked, so far, we've worked a lot with at least while I've been here, we work a lot with the football team and the lacrosse team and the cross-country folks, so, you know,
Great.
people we've worked with so far, so.
There's some good beef right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I just make one request?
Of course.
I love that park for snowshoeing in the winter, and the zigzag bridge is really hard to navigate with snowshoes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I love the bridge, just wonder if when you're considering the design, if you could make it a little
It's
more.
going to be considerably wider. the
Oh,
design,
okay.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
That's
often,
just
I
a
think
real-
about people with little kids on that bridge. I'm like, boy, like you can imagine a 2-year-old just boop. Yeah.
I just, that is completely a very, selfish request.
No,
but-
yeah, and I hear you. It's one of the, that's one of the reasons why the zigzag bridge was part of that application, is because number one, it is basically right in a beaver dam, so we want to make sure it's really sturdy in there, as those old cedar posts that it's on are starting to rot. We want to get those replaced before it's too late. But then one of the major other reasons was because it is so small. It's like a 1 foot wide surface, and the plans are to bring it up to like 2 or 3 feet at least. So you have to keep it underneath to keep it in wetland regulations, but there's a window we can work in there.
Yeah. Well, it sounds better than it is now, so, cool.
We'll be sure to mention, our partnership with the town when we announce the grant award. And I'd say if you have any thoughts on the best way, does the town have social media, Kathleen? Does it?
We have an e-newsletter
The
that we set up.
e-newsletter. Maybe we could put something together to put in that. That'd be nice to share. Okay, anything else?
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you. Great. Nice to meet you, Isabel.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks. Take care.
So that leaves us with you, Andy.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I'll just get myself out of looking up various wetlands specialists at the state and the staffing at Malt, and start thinking about the naming policy brought to you by the Policy Review Committee. This was on our plate when we first met many moons ago.
Long time coming,
And,
guys.
Initially, it said that you could not name something for someone until they'd been deceased for 10 years or something like that. And there was a lot of balancing to go on between wanting to make sure that we don't act rashly and end up with a place where no one knows the person for whom something is named, but also the idea that someone who retires in their 60s and lives another 20 years needs to be strongly thought of 30 years after their good works were completed. Seemed like a bit of a stretch. The initial proposal was also that 100 signatures were required to bring a naming petition to the select board, which is more signatures than I've ever had to collect at any point. I think that's reduced to 75 in the version that's in front of us. We, of course, as the select board, get to decide on the specifics of any policy that we adopt. We are not bound to the Piccadillys of the Policy Review Committee. Yes, Fred?
Was this policy developed in the face of any pending request by any?
It was, I believe, spurred on in fears of the Cross Street Bridge being renamed in the near future.
Mentioning Wright Park, and it got to wondering, okay, if this policy was in place back when Wright Park was given to the town,
Yeah,
or when Jack Brown Ball Field was given to the town,
yeah,
we required that we have to wait 10 years after they're dead
yeah,
to accept something or name it, and, Battelle, Means Woods. I don't know when Colonel Ilsley died, but, the Ilsley Monument, I just
Right.
wonder, is there anything particularly repugnant about the names of those things that have been named after people who might have still been alive?
I don't think so. I don't think that we kept that in here, did we?
It says, section 5B2,
Okay.
but it's
Oh, yeah.
or,
Deceased 10 years or
so
relating to a geologic feature.
intermediary, so so you still have 10 years. That's a good question.
I think that's excessive. I think that if we were on the verge of building a new police station, and thought that perhaps it should be the Hanley Police Station, I don't know that we need to wait 10 years beyond. Yeah, I won't even say it. I'm gonna finish my thought there.
So there's two different things about naming. One is somebody is going to donate a lot of money, or they donate the land and you name after them, or in honor of somebody who had done so much service to the town. That's a different case, right?
Correct.
So you, for somebody who's donating a whole bunch of money, you're not waiting 10 years for them.
Right. You don't need to wait for them to die.
Right.
Yeah. Indeed. And that's, I think, mentioned under 3F, that it does not apply to a town fundraising campaign. So it kind of needs to be proactive, I think, by the town for that exception.
And we also included, like, think of small plaque donations, so we want to donate this bench in honor of our mother, or someone.
That's an instant thing, right?
Right, yeah. That has its own
Yeah, that's
section
different.
within the policy.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we talked about that Lazarus Park, right? It was, and there was a petition, and we went through those motions.
Yeah.
He might have passed away over 10 years before that, if I'm not mistaken.
Pardon
I
me?
can't remember the exact number of years, but
Well,
Oh no, power's out, gotta go home.
the owls are winking at us.
So I didn't hear you, Brent.
I think Lazarus did pass away a few years before that park was
Oh,
established.
quite a few years before, yes.
But it might have been 10 years, I don't know exactly, but I haven't heard any bad feelings about that.
Right.
No.
I don't know of a situation where we have any community unrest because the way something has been named in the past. So I know I hear what you're saying about it, it just, we've been able to handle this apparently for a couple hundred years.
no, I understand this as well. It does seem like there's a bit of an ain't broke issue here.
Yeah.
But this is a policy which exists in many municipalities in Vermont. Yeah, and this is shorter than any of the others in municipalities that do have such policies. As we discussed, it's basically previously been the case that someone brings something to the select board as an agenda item, and it's decided that evening or the next to give it a name. And this is a lot more process than that.
It allows for like public comment, people to come to our meeting and provide comments on that naming, potential naming.
I agree with the process. I just, 10 years seems potentially. But, well, anyway,
10 years feels
I don't feel
onerous.
strongly about it, really. I'm
To
not-
me, I have not been a fan of this, but in the interest of bringing this to the select board, I moved it out of committee.
It's just a policy. I suppose we could vote to do away with it at some point.
We can,
Felt strongly, good
Indeed.
reason to do away with it.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and we can modify it right now. We do not have to adopt this as drafted. It's just a slight rebuke to our committee.
What was the committee's discussion about the 10 years?
It was contentious. The strongest proponent of this policy existing believed that we were looking for really durable impact.
Mhm.
And this was a way of measuring that is who still has goodwill and interest after the mourning period is gone. I think that could be shortened and it would still, still be effective.
What would you recommend?
I would be fine with, I'd be fine with 2 years. I would be fine with with it saying that you could be alive. That was not the sense of the committee, and I think that a shorter amount of time, I think deceased is fine. 1 year, 2 years, something to say we're not acting hastily.
And the argument for 10 years was that there was just.
Right, that this is a-
Something lasting.
Yeah.
Beyond.
And that there's still community support
Sure.
10 years later.
So I guess, I don't know if 1 or 2 years is enough to have historical reference, maybe 5 years.
I was thinking 5. You know, it is a compromise
Yeah,
between.
no, I think that's totally legitimate. I will support any amendment to shorten the 10 years posthumous.
And why did we feel like they had to be deceased?
Another great question. There was kind of broad agreement on this, that we didn't want to act hastily and end up, supporting someone who turned out to be the milkshake dog. Or you thought it was a milkshake dog?
No, but I can
So what
imagine.
Milkshake dog, sorry.
I'm trying to remember, sorry if I'm not remembering correctly. Is there
Sure.
something, so what if somebody gives a whole bunch of money and they're
Right.
still alive? That's different
It's
than.
different.
Okay, that's in a
up
different-
in our, section 3.
Yeah.
Under
Shall
scope.
not any town fundraising campaign whose naming rights are a component of that fundraising.
Yeah.
Even that one could sometime become a problem later on, like the Mid Chapel thing came up. That was something that was.
Sure.
Well, it's interesting discussion to have. I just,
Yeah.
part of me wants to respect the amount of time the committee thought about this and their thought into it, because I don't have a good reason one way or the other. I agree with the principle of substantial, positive, lasting impact.
Right.
So I don't know what, I'm willing to go with this as proposed, or substantial, positive, lasting impact. You might add a word lasting in there, I don't know, maybe that helps, but,
Can,
Go ahead.
Yes.
are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you made a comment about Cross Street Bridge. Can you elaborate on that, or is that not supposed to be elaborated on at this time?
I think that with the passing of Victor, who was seen as instrumental in shepherding that through, there was a thought that his name being the word new, that being the new bridge, that there could be a potential naming there.
But it
And
didn't meet
there was-
the requirements.
there was a desire to slow that down such that we make sure that that is the will of the community before that
That was actually
goes into play.
the impetus to reviewing the naming policy, because other than Lazarus Park, that was, I think, only the second time we've had a request for naming since I've been on the board, and it came very suddenly after the passing of Victor and Betty, and so I think we just wanted to take a step and say, do we have a process that we should follow just to make sure that it's equitable, and that, we all have tremendous fondness for him, but is it the right thing to do for the town? And we should make sure we process first. So we asked those kind of about the same time when we were standing up the committee.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fondness for both Victor and Betty, in the years that they committed to the town for a lot of things. And I think it would be appropriate to acknowledge, their many, contributions, which I think has been done in some ways already, but it could be done with a plaque. You know, a lot of people were involved in that bridge project, and he may have been instrumental in influencing Ron Leibowitz to contribute for a part of that. But another part of the funding was put together by Bill Finger, you know, and other people who worked to figure out the whole local option thing, and that's been a lasting benefit unto itself too. So I think there are ways to acknowledge.
Can I
Keep-
jump in on that, Fred?
Yeah.
I think that's why having some historical perspective is good, because there was emotion very strong at the time. And
Sure.
and is 5 or 10 years, or where is it we get the historical perspective and get away from the emotion and can look at it rationally? I think that's the question. Are we good with 10? Do we want to narrow it down, but still feel like, and I think personally that 2 years is too quick. If we're gonna say they have to be deceased, you still are pretty strongly connected at 2 years. Having gone through a lot of that in my life recently, I know, I feel
Sure.
it. And so I don't know where I'm not the guy to judge that. As a board, I think we need to agree where that is.
I think this is a good example, though, to think about and how this applies.
Sure.
And it hasn't been 2 years yet? It's only been,
Yeah.
Passed away this year.
I'm sorry,
Has it been 2 years, you ask?
it hasn't been 2 years yet, right?
Hasn't been a year.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
I can't remember, so. I think I agree, I think it should be longer than 2, but I'm not sure that it needs to be 10, but I think some balance in between there.
The concern I have about 10, 20 years is there will be a new generation who don't even know those people. Like when you talk about Lazarus, a lot of the new generation have not seen them, just heard about them in passing.
Sure.
That will be my concern if we wait too long.
Yeah.
I think 5 will be more appropriate, I think. I don't know.
I would support 5.
We're good with 5, or we maybe,
I like the addition of the word lasting as well. In 5B2, an individual or group had a substantial positive lasting impact in the community. Right, that you transformed the place in some way, that you
Yes.
left it better than you found it. And then
so that
And then a change to 5 years?
Carry.
I'd love to make that motion. I move the adoption of this policy as presented with those 2 changes. Change in 5B2 to an individual or group who had a substantial positive lasting impact in the community, with the individual being deceased for at least 5 years, older.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other comments on the policy?
Since we took earlier action tonight on accepting the Jack Brown ball field, under section 3B, or, is that already grandfathered?
That was donated as that, so I think you
Okay.
can leave that.
Okay, not wanting Jack to die.
Yeah, good.
No, that's more in that 3.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but that's not the difference in what, and I think what I was trying to get to before was that line in 3 is if it's a fundraising and
Right.
it's part of fundraising, but what if somebody just decides to donate to the town and there's no, like the instance of the Jack Brown Park. He's choosing to donate that property and that ball field to the town. We're not doing a fundraising campaign, we're naming it as part of it. Like, I think Fred was just saying, we don't have to wait till he passes away to name it Jack Brown baseball field, right?
Correct.
So, I don't think I don't know that the policy is clear on if somebody makes a contribution unsolicited,
Right? It's not clear.
you know, how the naming works.
Yeah. I think it is the intent of this body that this does not apply to new acquisitions of the town. This is for existing town property.
Okay.
I'm just curious, do you have a recommendation on how we would deal with that? Should we-
Doesn't 3A cover this? Oh, not. Expected portion.
3A is the sort
First,
of.
not designated first. Ah,
Seems to say,
jeez.
yeah, that it covers.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's.
Should we add a section under scope that clarifies that, or?
That's what I was wondering.
I wonder if it's worth just, I know,
Should we have these
Okay.
type things and send it back
To-
just to get those, so we have a couple things that we've recommended, but I do think that we should send it back to get that situation in particular addressed. How do we address that so that it's clear
Sure.
that we can accept something named and adopt that name as a town-owned property?
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's something that's come up tonight that you hadn't necessarily thought
Indeed,
about.
it was lovely timing.
So we're ready for it, other than that.
Okay. Okay.
and I just, you know, with the whole library project, does someone come forward and offer to give and I don't know how to identify a substantial chunk of that project, and obviously it already has a name, but.
Yeah, to name a room, to name a
Right.
chair, to do a whatever.
Yeah.
They're already offering naming opportunities for big donors there. Like you said, the room or,
So that's already in, part of
play.
the
There's
fundraising.
solicitation.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's a little different, right? They're
Mhm.
fundraising for that project, somebody gives money, we name something
Absolutely.
from them.
Common theaters.
Right.
Common.
And I think it's more about things that are unsolicited, you know, and
Are we okay with this coming back to us on the consent agenda, once we
I
have
think
that
if you've
language?
addressed that, is that what?
yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah,
Good.
Okay.
Thank you for all the work you've done.
Yeah.
Thank David Sofra.
David's,
Who's recuperating at home, but he, does yeoman work for that, committee.
and I'm sure he's watching, because this is like, he's glued to the TV. Thanks, Dave.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Approval of check warrants.
that's me. I move so I have reviewed the warrants today and found them in good order. I move to approve total expenditures in the amount of $443,338.84, consisting of $327,177.04 for accounts payable and $116,161.80 for payroll for the period of May 14th, 2024 through May 28th, 2024.
Second.
Second, all in
Spit it
favor?
out.
Aye.
Aye.
You should carry a stick with you.
And as per usual, I found all the work that Deb does in prepping the packet and all of the bills and everything to just be great, and want to thank her for the great job she does.
Okay, board member concerns, Brett?
When does the town typically do line painting? You know, crosswalks and the like of that? Is that,
As soon as weather allows.
So, I think there are, obviously rain is an impact, but two, I think it's also temperature dependent. So there are multiple factors other than just,
yeah, I just
so.
wasn't aware that, I don't know. It seems like there's been some sunny days recently. I've just been back short time, so I don't And I gather the infrastructure committee's work on the water and sewer budgets and the rate increases is coming to our next meeting to this, okay. Okay,
It has to be approved by the second meeting in June to go in effect July 1.
So we'll be at the second meeting in June?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying we have to have it all done by the second meeting in June.
Yeah, we're prepping a presentation for the 11th.
thank you.
I don't,
Nothing? Rod?
I have no concerns, but I want to congratulate the Middlebury College graduates for their graduation and good luck for their future. And the upcoming MUHS graduates, I want to congratulate them in advance.
Farhad stole mine, so, nothing.
Yeah, I don't have any new concerns, it's all just the same stuff.
All the old concerns.
Yeah,
Nothing new.
yeah. We need more housing, people want to live here, and that's a good thing.
I do think, the word is, have you done?
Yeah,
The word is that, things are looking good for the first phase of,
Nice.
the housing project.
good, good.
How things, if they keep tracking the way they are, they will have housing ready to move in next summer.
Fantastic.
We'll see. I'm sure, I know that they're chomping at the bit to try to get underway. We do have need for, I should congratulate you. One you forgot was Middlebury College Women's Lacrosse.
Oh,
Yes.
hello,
yeah.
national champion?
National champions in
I
our
didn't know
own
that.
hometown.
Oh.
third time in a row.
Third time in a row, fourth time that they actually were competing, because they had 2 years off because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty impressive
Wow.
Yeah.
group of ladies there.
Yeah,
If you ever watch them play,
they're good.
they're just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really fun to
Holy
watch.
cow. Middlebury, yeah, women students with sticks
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
fearsome. Hockey, lacrosse, field hockey.
yeah.
What's in the water? Okay, we need some, we do have a
I've got
call
the
for
motions.
executive session, you ready for it?
Sure. I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the negotiation of a contract would clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage because the discussion would divulge the town's position on the contract provisions to be negotiated.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to enter into executive session with the inclusion of the town manager and assistant town manager to discuss the negotiations of a contract as allowed under Title I, Section 313A1A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Going into executive session at